Hey everyone, so what we're going to do today is take a look at Binance, BNB, and take a look at some of the levels above us which we may be likely to hit, and some price targets down below us as well, and talk about some of the key scenarios that are most likely going to play out for Binance for the rest of this year in the next few months. So if that sounds good to you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's crack on. So let's start with taking a look at some of the upside targets, because I do think there is good potential for this for Binance and a lot of the other altcoins that I've spoken about. And we've obviously bounced from this key level of macro weekly and monthly support at about $200 to about $230, and this is why we always play the key most likely areas that we see on a chart. And you can see that we've got a massive wick to the upside. So basically this means that there's buyers stepping in at this price, and I do think that there is a good chance that we are likely to bounce from this area. And the areas that I am looking at, okay, and the potential scenario that I'm looking at as the most likely is some sort of deviation up to about $360 or about $400, and then basically to create what is likely going to be some kind of potential lower high, and then retest these levels. And whether we break these levels, we can talk about that in a minute, but let's just take a look at some of these upside targets. If we take a look at some of the low volume areas above us, we do have some small pockets at $360 and $400, which I've just marked out here, and the next potential level above that is about $450, okay. But really what we're looking at here is we're looking at the order blocks which coincide with those low volume areas, and this is the area that we broke down from at $370 back in May. So this would probably be a key area where sellers may look to step in if Binance goes any higher. You can see that we actually already tapped this order block, which is quite interesting, okay. So this was where we rejected from in May, and this is why we trade order blocks as a key component of trading over here, okay, is that you can see that this is essentially the up move before the downward move to the downside that broke the market structure, okay. And you can see that we're currently testing that area and rejecting from that area, so we're looking to currently see if we get a bounce from there. So I am expecting that if Bitcoin does move any higher, then I'm expecting Binance to move with it, okay. But you can also see that that $360 and $400 area coincide with some key Fibonacci targets. And if we have a look at the main wave on our fibs, okay, and we just take out the reverse, you can see that basically we have our 2.36, which is what we expect to reach, okay, on any major impulsive move to the downside when we move back up, okay. The 236 is an area that is very likely to get hit, and also the 382, which coincides exactly here at about $400, okay. And in bear markets that are very violent and aggressive, and when sentiment is very bearish, these are the two levels that we're looking at, okay, to potentially tap into and then move any lower. So there's no guarantees that Binance moves up any higher from here, okay. It could potentially be our dead cat bounce before we move any lower, but if we do take out $340, okay, that definitely opens up the door, and a more likely scenario is to hit $400 to $360 after that. One thing to bear in mind is that the altcoins are going to be very dependent on the strength of Bitcoin and what that does. So if Bitcoin is showing some strength and we move up to some of those mid 30,000 levels, okay, then that definitely opens up the door for some of these areas of $360 to $400. But I am expecting that if we do move here, that we deviate and start to at least retest and challenge some of these low at $230, because usually when we get these massive wicks to the downside in such a sentiment of aggressive bear market in altcoins, right, is that these areas typically get retested, okay, on these capitulation wicks. So I'm expecting that maybe in the next month or two we either retest this area of those low 200s, or we move back up to the higher 300s and then come back down. So either way, I'm expecting this area to get retested in the short term. Interestingly enough, if we take a look at the extension from the May 12th move, okay, that we got rejected from at about $330, an extension of that wave, a 1-to-1 would put us at about $400 there or thereabouts, which could still be a deviation of this area over here, and a 1.618 puts us at about that $480, $460, which I think is less likely, but that will be in confluence with that low volume pocket that we saw above us, and additionally, if we take a look at just the extension of the actual wave without the relationship, okay, is that you can see that we're getting a confluence here at about 1.618, again at about $400. So really, I'm expecting sellers to step in anywhere if we reach here at about 400, okay, to this area over here at about $360. So this is the area that I'll be keeping an eye out on if we move any higher than $330. As we're about halfway through the video, I want you to do me a massive favor. Go down below and like the video, share it, do all that good stuff. That massively helps me out, and obviously let me know as well down below what you would like me to cover next in the comment section below, and then that way that helps me keep on top of what you guys want to see. So without further ado, let's crack on. The only way that I can see Binance having put in a significant bottom and a bottom for this bear market is if we basically move above this $450 area and convincingly move impulsively above it, and then we start to catch support and then basically potentially look to create market structure where we can move higher. But until that happens, which is not the most likely scenario at the minute, okay, I do think that there's likely further downside action later to come in this year, as there is for most altcoins, okay, and the levels that I'm seeing, okay, to add into areas of value is going to be anywhere at this $200 level, which is this massive macro weekly, and you can see on the monthly time scale as well, you know, support. You can see massive wicks to the downside, okay, so that would be a good area to add into if we retest into that $220, $230, and then anywhere below that, I'm looking at $130 thereabouts as a potential market bottom, okay, and you can see that we've got this parabolic move in Binance, okay, with the whole narrative of fees and stuff like that in relation to Ethereum just over a year ago, and you can see that basically we got this expansive move and we've got this area of price action, which I don't typically like to use as bottoms when we basically have this small consolidation in very large expansive moves. However, given where Binance is at the minute, I think that this might be a likely scenario, or potentially even somewhere down here at about $80, which is the start of another order block over here as well. And if we take a look at the extension of some of these main waves, you can see that a 1-to-1 is putting us at about $84, okay. And then if we actually take a look at the extension of this main wave over here, we're getting a 1.618 again at about $90 as well. So we might get some of these lower price targets for sure if we break any lower than that $214 level, which I am expecting to get broken at a later point in this year, as well as a 1.618 area here, which is about that $130 exactly at this order block on the logarithmic Fibonacci scale when we have a look at the extension of the wave. So, you know, we've got some areas over here that we're looking at about 130 to anywhere at about $90-$80, that if we break this, it is potentially, you know, going to be the start of that sort of accumulation if we think that Binance is going to go higher and move on to those new all-time highs. What's potentially more interesting to look at for Binance is its relationship to Bitcoin, and you can see that from current levels, if we drop down to this horizontal support resistance level at about 7,000 Satoshis, right, that's going to put us at about a 21% decline versus Bitcoin. And if we were to move anywhere into this order block over here, that would represent a 30 to 40%, maybe even 50% level, okay, just challenging into these areas to see if these coincide with some of the USD areas, okay. So those are some of the areas that I'm looking at as well. I'm not sure that Binance goes any lower than 4,000 sats. I'd just evaluate that if we ever move any lower. But if we speculate on the Binance chart, okay, that if Bitcoin, as we speculate, is going to drop somewhere between another 20 to 30% from here, okay, maybe that puts it at about, and we factor in the decline in Binance BTC. Should that happen and there's further weakness in altcoins, then lo and behold, where does that put us? About that, anywhere between that 20 and 30%, okay, and 40, 50% even, is going to put us in and around this order block at about $120 to about $140. So that's why I'm looking at this as a potential low for Binance. I just wanted to draw your attention to Ethereum, because in the last bull market, it does look like it made a very similar move to Binance, and we could be seeing something similar as well, because we got this consolidation over here. We had made this massive parabolic move and blow off top, and we didn't necessarily come and retest, you know, the area that we broke out from because we moved so far up. But what we did do is test this order block, or one of the order blocks, okay, in our expansive parabolic move to the upside, okay, and one of those order blocks just ended up to coincide with the bottom that we got in altcoins and Bitcoin at the time. So I think that we might well see something similar. Maybe this is like a similar thing to be looking out for, where we basically stayed in this large range and then we moved to the downside and then basically ended up reaccumulating for a move back to the upside. But you can see that if I bring up the Binance chart, that this chart that I've got here, okay, like I said, just these areas of consolidation in a massive expansive parabolic move to the upside. Okay, you can see that if we bring up our Binance chart, it's really not too dissimilar. Okay, so you can see that this is where we're at the minute. And the only order block that is very obvious at the moment to look out for is $140. But we had this massive, you know, area of price action, parabolic move up, okay? And maybe it's the case that, you know, maybe if we do break $200, okay, that we basically tap into some of this order block over here like we did with Ethereum, and maybe reaccumulate and look for those sort of patterns towards the bottom of that breakdown. So I hope you got some value from this video. If you did, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and let me know down below in the comment section below with what you want me to cover next. Until the next video, I'll catch you next time.